The story begins with the scene of a soldier impaling his spear into his enemy's throat while screaming out a battle cry. A human life was just taken, but there was no time to even pay that life a second of respect as the protagonist pulled his spear out and dashed forward, ready to attack his next enemy. As he did so, he mumbled to himself, "Shit, it's war. That's right, we're at war." After a while, the battle came to an end as the protagonist's comrades screamed out in victory, "The enemies have fallen!" The protagonist pulled his scarf up to his face, wiped out his sweat, thinking that it was awful. But just as he did so, he noticed his teammates not far from him. They were torturing a dying enemy soldiers, laughing and joking as they stabbed the guy with a sword in his stomach, but not killing him right away. They were taking fun in the man's agony. Shh. The protagonist clicked his tongue. It seemed he didn't quite enjoy what he was seeing. He then went up to those soldiers and pushed them away, saying, "Get out of the way." He then took a final look at the dying man before putting his sword in the man's throat, putting him out of misery. Pulling his sword out, his eyes dark and tired as he looked at the scene before his eyes. He was at war. He then recalled his past. Back then, it was just a normal day as any other day. The television was broadcasting its usual weather forecast. This was in Japan, and our protagonist in his past life was a Japanese man. His name was Takakura Raizo. And in that fateful morning, our protagonist was about to go to work like always. As he walked downstairs, he held his head, thinking how tired he was. Just then, a sharp pain struck his chest, and he jolted and fell down to the ground. The pain then still continued to intensify to the point where he couldn't take it anymore. Holding his chest, he thought to himself, my chest, suddenly, not like this. I don't want to die." And just like that, my life as Takakura Raizo had ended abruptly. But the man who takes his second life in a strange new world is now known as... "Walm, you're holding your hands together again?" Back to the present, a teammate called out to the protagonist, asked if he was making weird gestures again. And so our protagonist's name is Walm, and he was holding his hands together, making a praying gesture for the dead soldier, a gesture that was carried to his second life. Despite already being reincarnated, Walm still has the memory of his past life.
"Walm!" the teammate called out. To Walm again. This time he finally noticed his teammate. It's like a habit. Jose. It was the teammate's name, Jose, a guy with black hair and tanned skin. Looking at Walm, Jose said, "We need to group up. Let's go." Walm heard this. He got up and was ready to leave. While doing so, he asked, "Will commanders start bragging about the results of the war again? Aren't you happy? You've got to be kidding me." As they tread across the battlefield, where human corpses lie all over, some died in the battle, some lost the fight and were hanged as execution, Jose asked Walm, "Speaking of war results, you said you took down 9 of them. Walm, you should be proud of yourself too." But Walm reacted indifferently. "It's not something to be proud of." "Why?" Jose asked, to which Walm answered, "Because it's just my job. I didn't kill them to up my numbers. When the state says kill, it's your duty to kill. I was just doing my duty," he said, but his expression was rather somber. Walm was living in a world where war still rages. "What a serious guy," Jose said. "Hey, I can hear you. Let's get the hell out of here and join up with the squad. I'm tired." "Walm, you were sitting until just now, right? Don't act like you're tired." That night at the squad's camp, people were having dinner and spending their nighttime. So was Walm. He was eating his meal before a drunk, muscular man put his arm around Walm's shoulder, saying loudly, "Walm, I heard you took down 9 enemy soldiers, but I took down 15 of them, so I won. But you're not half bad either." You reek of alcohol," Walm said, uncomfortably. He then continued, "But well, I still can't win against you, Commander Dewey." "Of course not, since I have that skill." Just then, 2 persons walked up to them trying to join the conversation. Magic is one thing, but skills are just a cheat. Dewey noticed them and asked, "Who are you?" To which Jose answered, "The 2 surviving rookies. The coxcomb dude is Burrito. He was talking about how Burrito's hair looks like that of the chicken comb, but yeah, cock. Haha, you get me? Burrito heard this and quickly answered, "Yes, sir." Wait, coxcomb? But Jose just quickly moved on to the next person, and the cute girl's name is Noor. "Nice to meet you," Noor said shyly. In no time, they got to know each other. Dway yelled at Burrito, saying, "Oi, rookie," the one whose name was Burrito. "My skill is not considered a cheat because it's my own power." Burrito quickly scoffed back, "But that's still cheating." Noor then raised her question. If we're talking about Commander Dway's skill, is it really true that his Warhammer skill can conquer all types of armor?" "Of course it's true, Noor," Dway said, flexing his muscles. He continued, "Skills are so cool." Walm looked at Burrito's jealousy. He turned to Jose and asked if his skill was something really good that Burrito wanted so badly. Jose heard this. He smiled. "Of course. I mean, think about it. While magic feels like a power that only exists in dreams, skills are different. They're superhuman physical abilities. One of Commander Dway's powerhouse moves is a sort of a sure kill technique. I wish I had it. He alone can change the tide or war," he said as the scene panned to a corpse not far away, with the chest completely smashed in. It was Dway's product. Jose then jokes, "It could bring in money, you know." "You never stop haggling with me, do you?" Walm said. Jose looked at him and asked, "But you don't have one either, right? You want one, don't you? A skill?" Walm looked at him for a while before he looked away, sipping on his drink. He said, "Only if you give it to me for free," to which Jose just sighed. He then looked to the team's mage and said, "Well, we've already got a magic user, though. Are you interested in magic, too?" Walm heard this. He joked that magic was a nice thing to dream about using, but he was met with a stern look from Jose. Jose then screamed out to Dway, "Commander Dway, Walm just said he dreams. This is coming from a guy who said he'd use full force even if he was fighting a kid." "What? Walm, did something happen? Just let it out. We'll listen till daybreak." "Hey, I'm not really happy with how I get along with people at work." Walm scoffed at their bad jokes, but they just kept going on. Everyone was noisy. After a while, Dway called out to the team, this time his voice serious. "Oh right, about tomorrow's plans, we'll be fighting a ton of battles. From tomorrow on, our opponent will be Maillard." Hearing this, Walm's gaze sharpened. He steeled himself for the upcoming battle. Dway then continued, "Today is the day we completely split up the Libertoa Trade Federation. The Hyzerk Empire has already begun to gather its army in Saria City, in the northwestern part of the former kingdom of Konoha, adjacent to Maillard. We too will merge with them at Saria City. War against Liberato is nothing but the mere beginning. Our real objective is Maillard. It's been fun so far, hasn't it? Starting from tomorrow, we're coming for Maillard. It'll be unlike anything you guys have experienced before. It'll be a big, big battle. Prepare yourselves." Everyone heard this. They expressed different reactions. Some were worried and restless. Others stayed calm and composed. And Walm, his face stern, he stayed quiet and recalled a moment in his previous battle. He remembered clearly the sensation of blood dripping down his spear as he just impaled it through an enemy's chest. Gasping for breath, Walm recalled the last word that guy just said. "Please, don't kill me. I have a family," he said. Walm thought about it. He grinded his teeth, his expression full of guilt. "Sorry, I'm a soldier, so I can stay alive." But just as he stumbled down, another enemy snuck up behind him, ready to swing his sword at him. Slash! The sound of a sword cutting through flesh, leaving life spilled out of the wound in crimson. It startled Walm. He quickly turned around, ready for the attack. It turned out the slash wasn't for him. It was from Dway and Jose. They already took care of the enemy who snuck up on Walm. "That makes 10, Dway said, while Jose asked Walm, "That one just now was a pretty close one, man. You owe me one." "Sure have a lot of time on your hands to daydream, don't you, rookie?" That memory was then cut short as Dway called out to Walm. "Walm! Yes, sir? Daydreaming, are you?" They were on their way to their next destination, and in no time they arrived there. "We're here, Saria City." As they walked across the city, Jose said, "We've just got to wait until tomorrow morning. I'm going to go get a drink with Commander Dewey. You coming, Walm?" "I'm coming." They were walking when Walm noticed a woman, her body skinny and malnourished. She kept mumbling the same words. "How about tonight? How about tonight?" And not just her, there are many others like her. Dewey called out to Walm, telling him not to pay them any attention. "They are beggars and prostitutes. You doing good back there, Walm?" "I'm fine." "They sure are needy."
Just then, the prostitute grabbed Walm's shirt. She kept asking weakly, "How about tonight?" "No," Walm refused, brushing her hand off. He said, "I don't need any." Just as he said so, he looked at the other beggars behind her, some of them just sitting on the ground. They didn't even have much energy to go around begging, and just lying there, waiting for their inevitable fate. He then noticed the prostitute's eyes. At first glance, those eyes seemed tired, lifeless, and devoid of any hopes and will. But for a split moment, he could see those eyes scowled, leaving out a hint of frustration in her circumstance. Walm tried to walk away, but the sight of those murky eyes couldn't leave his mind. He then reached for his pocket and pulled out a small pouch of money. Handing it to her, he said, "Here, get yourself something to eat." The prostitute couldn't believe it. Her eyes lit up, welled in tears. She held the pouch tightly and thanked him before running back in the deep alleyways. Just then, Jose saw it, and he called out to Walm, "Walm, don't feed them too much." "Me? Feeding? If she goes bragging about it, beggars will come and surround you. Doesn't it seem like everyone here is already planning to do that? Don't let your good nature get the best of you, Walm." "I guess so. I'll be careful." Jose heard this. He continued, "Despite the fact you're a bloodthirsty machine on the battlefield, but you've still got a soft side. No matter what, we are just soldiers, right?" Walm did not respond. He looked down and recalled his childhood in this life and why he sympathized with those beggars. Beggars, poverty. I was born in this world. My house, we couldn't sustain ourselves by just farming. That's why I became a soldier. The supply funds given by the army were needed to pay for my home. Without it, my parents, siblings, and I wonder if we will end up the same as these beggars. And as they continued their conversation, Dewey said, "Originally, this place, Saria, the former Konoha kingdom, was a fertile land." "Really? It wasn't always like this?" "Yeah, 5 years ago, this was still Konoha kingdom territory, not Hyserk's. But Konoha had already been continuously strengthening their borders, thus interfering with Hyserk's borders. I was surprised because we somehow managed to win that battle and defend a village. They fed their cattle with the beans that I often used to eat. An abundant land with lots of people, vast fields, and delicious food. But when it comes to Konoha now, you get the idea." "How did it become like this?" Jose asked, to which Dewey answered, "The Maillard Grand Duke was a former Konohan nobleman. That guy took advantage of the Hyserk War by abandoning Konoha and defecting to the neighboring Farius Kingdom. The dispatched army from Maillard's own army trampled over Konohan land. One by one, Konohan territories were invaded and turned into a scorched earth, which resulted in Konoha being ruined. The Maillard Grand Duke seized the Konoha territory and became a monarch, and Maillard became an independent country. It can be said that this land became like this because it was sold to the Maillard Grand Duke." Hearing this, Walm was uncomfortable. Dewey then continued, "And Hyserk also lacked troops and postponed the invasion until now. That's why the grudge the Konoha citizens have towards Maillard and Faries is deeper than that with Hyserk. This still continued even when Hyserk participated in the Maillard invasion war." "Ah, no way, that's dirty," Jose said. "How so? Is it challenging?" "Nah, it just means it's an enemy I ought to defeat next time." Hearing all this, Walm didn't say a word, but his expression seemed to be getting more and more frustrated. After a while, they arrived at a tavern where Dewey said, "Here we are. Drinks are on me, by the way." Having ordered their food and drinks, they cheered, "Continuing on with the Libertio border war for the Maillard invasion war." Walm took a piece of bread, then dipped it in the soup and took a bite. The food instantly lightened him up.
I thought I had enough bean soup for the rest of my life, but I'd changed my mind. This is good. That's because there are a lot of half-baked and half-cooked things. Jose also complimented the food, and Due told him to eat and drink up. They were having the time of their life, chatting, eating with each other. After a while, we can see Due looked out to Walm, asking if he was okay, and Jose noted that he drank too much. And before both of them, Walm, with his grimace expression, was trying to hold in his vomit. I am vomiting a little. It's fine to report before that, Walm. Walm then went out of the tavern for a breather. While waiting for him, Due and Jose sit together. Jose sighed and noted to Due, saying that Walm was always like this even before the war, and by that he did not mean just the vomiting from drinking too much. Outside of the tavern, Walm was crouching down, leaning his head against the wall. He thought about the moment earlier when he gave money to the girl, thinking about it, then about how he prayed for the dead soldier that he killed by himself, then about how he tried to rationalize his actions, saying that it was because, as a soldier. Internally, he thought to himself, it's hypocritical. What do you mean, soldier, you murderer?
The scene transitioned the next morning, where we can see a whole army gathered together ready for the upcoming battle. Among them, there was Walm. Despite his mental breakdown from yesterday, he still stood at the battlefield today, because now there's nothing else to do. That is, to just move forward. In front of them, a man stepped forward. He thanked everyone for gathering there today before introducing himself as Gerard Berger, the commander of the district army. He continued his speech. For those who have gathered here, you guys are the symbol of bravery of our empire. With this bravery, let's put an end to this 5-year war. Don't be afraid to trample over our enemies. Show them who they declared war against. Kill them all. Hearing this, the whole crowd screamed in echo, Kill them all! Standing in a sea of madmen with the screaming, the sound of weapons clashing, hyping each other up, ready for the upcoming slaughter, Walm was overwhelmed. His face was full of sweat, his heart beating radically. Killing again, huh? No, it's kill or be killed. Walm then steeled himself. He wiped away his cold sweat, ready to move forward. As a soldier, right? Just then, Jose noticed. He asked what's wrong, but Walm just brushed it off as a hangover. Jose heard this, and he looked at him and said, If it's about something that happened, I'll listen to you, Walm. Walm heard this and immediately joked that he was pretending to be kind just for money. If it's about money, I don't have any thought. Huh, even though you're able to feed them beggars. The Empire's army that departed from Saria City is divided into 3 large troops. All 3 routes that lead to mired territory were targeted for capture. Particularly, a huge fort that blocked the main road is being guarded by 3,000 soldiers. That capture was predicted to be particularly difficult. In no time, Due's squad arrived at the destination, in front of the Saria's paramount fort, where Due said that they should be glad that the result for that war was waiting in the form of a castle, and that he will then give direction. While getting ready for the battle, Walm couldn't help but be restless. He smoked a cigarette, then another one, and in no time he noticed a pile of smoked cigs under his feet. Over the distance, Jose was messing with Burrito. He grabbed Burrito's nuts, joking that his dick was shrinking because of fear, before turning to Noor asking if she needed a checkup, to which Noor refused, saying she was fine and that she didn't have one to begin with. What the fuck did I just read? Anyway, Walm walked toward them, saying that he would prevent any brutality against women, even though he could hardly pull himself together, being overwhelmed with the battle ahead. Joes heard this and joked, It seems that Walm is in great shape with that foul mouth. He then turned back to the team, saying, Well, this is also my first time in a real castle siege war. We're thrown into the front line, but we're substitutes for the workmen. Newcomers can easily die in hand-to-hand combat, though rest assured, Burrito and Noor will be fine. To which Noor sighed in relief. Also, if an enemy comes, Walm will deal with them. He's a professional that easily kills dozens of people with a plain expression, Joe's jokes, knowing it was the complete opposite. Hearing this, Walm scoffed. Don't say it like I'm some battle maniac. But internally, he noted that it was possible he would do just that. After all, he doesn't want to see newcomers die.
Looking at Walm, Nor thought to herself, "That's right, I heard Walm defeated 9 people during the war against Liberi Toa, but it can't be helped that I'm still worried. Though I'm sure of it, Walm is a person with a strong mind and body." Just then, the bugle called, signaling the start of the battle. Walm broke down a cold sweat. They're here. Suddenly, Due got to behind him and slapped him in the back, hyping him up. "Look, the war is starting. Let's do our best." Hearing this, Walm nodded and steeled himself. They then got ready in a shielded position, ready to defend against the attacks from the fort. Gulp. Walm swallowed his saliva, his eyes focused up. Over the distance, from inside the fort, a large number of archers lined up and raised their bows, shooting down a rain of arrows toward them. Thousands of arrows came flying down, hitting the shields violently. Some of them managed to squeeze through the gap of each shield, hitting one of the soldiers next to Walm in the head. The impact was so strong that the arrow didn't just pierce through the soldier, it completely blasted his head clean off. Due noticed this. He screamed to his team, "They have a skill, they have a hard shoot, don't expose the key point." Trying to hold up his shield, Walm scoffed, "Give me a break." He then called out to Nor, telling her to stick close to him. "Nor, you'll die if you take a step back." "Okay." The army then screamed, telling each other to hurry up to the wall. Just then, the mage sensed something, and Josei also saw it. He screamed, "Incoming!" Suddenly, a large water ball shot right down at them. Though Walm and Nor managed to narrowly block the attack, it resulted in their shield getting shattered. The impact of the water ball was so strong, everyone that got hit directly by it got their whole body torn off. "Water bullets, it's magic," Nor mused, not sure if this was the right time to be adoring Anami's ability, though. "They sure have quite the nice welcome, having us playing in the water like this," Walm said. Due looked at the attack. He was rather mad. He said, "He actually did it," before immediately locating the enemy's magician. He then grabbed a rock and threw it at him. The projectile flew so fast it gave the magician no time to react, and in an instant it blew the magician's head off before the surprise of his teammates. Due then screamed, "Now! Surround them quickly!" Before they could do that, Nor asked Walm, "The walls have not been surrounded yet. Are we going to climb them up with ladders?" Walm heard this. He tried to mentally decide the correct choice, but before he could do that, a soldier came up to them, saying, "I have orders from the Liguria, the battalion commander. Don't fall behind the rest of the battalion and launch an all-out attack. Break through the walls." And without many choices, everyone started boarding ladders on the wall and tried to climb them. "Nor, stay behind me," Walm said, to which Nor answered, "Yes." But no way the enemies would let them climb up so easily. Every time a High-Circ soldier climbed to the top, they would quickly get stabbed down by a spear, along with archers shooting them down from above. And just as Walm was climbing, an archer pointed his arrow at him, ready to shoot. Crap, Walm thought to himself. There was no way he could defend against it while climbing the ladder. But before the archer could get the shot off, he was immediately taken down by a water spear. Walm noticed this and shouted, "Thanks for the help, Willert." It was their own team's magician whose name was Willert, and he just saved Walm one life. And with this, Walm managed to be the first one to get to the top. Immediately, he sliced the enemy right in front of him to make space to get to the ground and prepared himself. His gaze completely darkened, his pupils narrowed. He was fully locked in with killing intent. All the enemies were shocked. "They're climbing!" They all charged forward, trying to strike Walm down. Walm threw the first swing, but the enemy parried it. The enemy tried to return his attack, but it was blocked by Walm's shield. And as he used his shield to bash the enemy's sword to the side, he stabbed him in the head, killing him immediately. "What a guy! Surround him!" The enemies tried their best to bring Walm down. Just then, a voice called out to Walm. "Sir Walm!" "Newer?" Walm realized the voice as he turned his head back to see Newer was getting cornered, about to get killed by an enemy. Looking at the enemy's armor, Walm recognized it. A knight. It was a hard opponent this time. Trying to stop the knight from killing Newer, Walm threw his shield against the knight, but the knight quickly smashed it in half with his halberd. Standing in front of each other, facing off, Walm asked, his face stern, "You're only good against new recruits, huh, you nobody?" The knight replied,
The barbarian soldiers of the Empire have bad habits. I won't let you trample the soil of the principality." The knight then charged at Walm, thrusting him with the sharp tip of his halberd, but Walm managed to narrowly block the attack and return with a strike of himself. Ugh! Walm strained himself, trying to throw out a swing as hard as possible, and it knocked both of them back into a neutral distance. Just when Walm thought he successfully defended the attack, his left shoulder was pried open, spilling blood. It turned out he couldn't fully block that attack. Looking at the place he hit the knight at, it seemed Walm's sword was blocked fully by the armor. Walm thought to himself, "I can't get my sword to slice through. His armor's too thick. What a handicap. I have to hurry. If I take too long, he'll go and kill Noor. Normally a guy like him would be squaring off against the Commander Dewey. The Commander was too conspicuous, so we haven't been able to get up there due to the incessant interference. Damn it. This means I'll have to take that knight bastard down quickly, right here." Looking at the mere size differences between them, Walm was astonished at the handicaps he was fighting with. This looked like an unwinnable fight, but at that moment, none of that mattered. It was either he did it or he died. Looking at the knight, Walm chuckled before holding up his sword and smiling maniacally. "You're the worst." They then charged each other, but this time Walm was hit cleanly first, blood spilling. How? A direct hit like that wouldn't have ended with just a little blood spilling. It should have cut his arm clean off. "Give up, small fry," the knight screamed, aiming his next attack right at Walm's head, but it narrowly scraped through his face. Something's different. The knight also noticed it this time. My axe spear should have hit his eyes. Impossible. There's no way, he said as he took a closer look at Walm's body. That's... Walm's whole body was getting covered in solidified mana. The knight saw this and said, "A magical barrier?" Feeling a new sensation of power, Walm thought to himself, "So that's what this is. It's power. My body and sword feels light." He then held his sword up standing still, signaling how the next strike will be the last. The knight saw this, he was offended and charged straight at Walm. "Don't look down on me. You won't get away with this." He then held his shield forward, planning to block the attack, then return with a counterstrike. But then Walm swung his sword down. It was blocked by the shield, or was it? The slash was so strong it sliced through the whole shield before hitting the knight's armor, which had also cut through and split the knight's arm in half vertically. Looking at Walm's expression, the knight was struck with fear. Why is this boy laughing? Before his eyes was the face of a deranged Walm. High from adrenaline, he couldn't contain his excitement and let out a manic laugh. "Your skill, your power move. How did a mere soldier defeat me?" the knight said before letting out his last breath and died, leaving Walm victorious. The enemies were in shock. That commander just who is that man? Elmer-sama just died in battle? Just then, an attack blasted through the wall. It was Dewey and his team. They finally managed to get up to the wall. "We've secured a route up. No one backs down. Kill every last one of them." Walm let them take care of the battle. He walked to Noor, asking her if she was okay, to which she answered that she was fine and that the wounds were not too deep. Walm then looked at his fist. He thought to himself, "This is my power move." He then immediately dashed to the enemies, slicing them down. His slash is now so powerful it cut through all ordinary weapons and armor. While doing so, he couldn't help but smile crazily, thinking how he could help but try his new power out. Yeah, this guy's off to the deep end, bro. After the battle ended, Dewey called out to Walm. "Walm, pretty impressive back there. I see you found your new skill," he said, looking at a pile of dead bodies behind Walm. "Why don't you get some rest? Leave the rest to us." "Okay, then," Walm agreed. After they went away, Noor called out to Walm. Looking at Walm, her face flushed as she thanked him for saving her. Walm heard this. He smiled and said that it was great to hear. After then, Walm looked at the battlefield. He thought to himself, "I somehow made it out alive." He then stumbled down with his head lowered, finally relaxed as he let the rays of sunset lie on his exhausted body. And so the besieged fort shortly surrendered.
The battle began in the morning and ended just before the sunset. And yet, this battle is still only on the outpost of the borders. Walm's job was far from over. Their journey continued. One day, Walm's team were tasked with investigating remnants of a fight that their army was hit with. Looking at the dead body, Due said, "There's no mistaking it, this one's a magic user." Jose also looked at the corpse and said, "Seems like a wind and fire type." There are more than 2 magic users left. Over the distance, Noor also noticed another dead body. Is this also magic? What the hell was he hit with? Half of his face is crushed. A few days have passed since the siege of the fort. Some troops managed to escape from the siege and plotted some guerrilla warfare on the road passing through the surrounding forests. The Hyserk army that was headed toward the Maillard capital was stopped in its tracks. A great loss of supplies and soldiers were suffered. And Walm and his comrades were standing at the place where the army was attacked. Some soldiers discussed with each other. Damn it, another caravan was hit. Didn't they start searching for enemies 3 days ago? Just where are the rest of the Maillard troops? Looking at the dead body, Walm asked, "A dead body with a crushed face?" It didn't look like it was done with a halberd. The crushed area was too big for it to be that. Just then, Due interrupted them, saying it was a shield. Noor heard this and asked, "Was it a shield? If that's true, then—" "Commander Due, could the person responsible have a skill?" Jose asked, to which Due answered, "There are many users with the power skill, so it has to be the iron wall skill. With it, even a wooden shield's effectiveness becomes similar to that of an iron one's. If you hit somebody with it, you will end up with a dead body like this." Hearing this, Walm broke in a cold sweat. He thought to himself, "At least 2 people have some sort of ability, 1 magic user and 1 skill user. Maillard will use these kinds of people in this guerrilla warfare. This isn't good." Looking at the damage they suffered from trying to pursue the enemy, Jose said, "Here, an entire company of men went to look for them, but with no avail. Instead, we were the ones who lost around 30 men yesterday. The enemy should have been defeated by now, but they're quite resilient." As they continued walking, Walm lit up his cigarette. While taking a smoke, he asked if the smell of tobacco was getting them noticed by the enemy, but Jose brushed it off, saying their stench is much stronger than the smell of tobacco. Burrito heard this. He joked, "Is it okay if I apply some perfume?" Due laughed loudly in response. "A good idea, and wear a skirt while you're at it. Our enemies just might show up." Just then, Noor called out to them, "By the way, that—" "Yeah? What is that?" Then Noor pointed her finger at the nearby tree, and on one of the branches there were people getting hanged there. "Oh, those are the forest people who sold our information to the Maillard troops. This is their punishment." Noor heard this, then she looked at those dead people and was distressed, but then Walm noticed her discomfort and calmed her down. "Noor, back when I wasn't used to this, someone told me this, that it's because of these people that dozens of our friends were killed." Noor heard this. She understood the rationale, but still she couldn't help but feel uncomfortable at the horror sight in front of her. Walm saw this, but he didn't try to talk anything more. He just kept on smoking his cigarette. Internally, he understood her and he emphasized with her. After that, Burrito asked, "Hey, if we take out the enemies who attack the caravans, we'll get some good loot, right?" "The enemies you're talking about are the skill and magic users, right? It would be like fighting against Commander Due and Walm simultaneously. Could you win against that?" Jose scoffed jokingly. Burrito thought about it and said, "Nah, it would be impossible, even if there were 20 of me." "Exactly. Am I also not part of the normal human group to you?" Walm asked, to which Jose answered, "Of course." Just then, a big explosion occurred in the forest near them, startling everyone. Walm understood the meaning of this. He cut his cig and prepared for the fight. "Everyone, 300 to 400 meters ahead, something got caught in our search network. Go around from the right side. They're trapped. Don't let them escape. Start moving." And follow Due's call, the squad dashed ahead. They quickly traveled through the forest, running past the dense trees, before the sight finally opened up to them, and in front of them, the remains of Maillard army were fighting, surrounded by the Hyserk. One of the Maillard soldiers screamed, "Damn it, they have reinforcements!" But it quickly became none of his concern anymore as he turned around, only to be met by Walm's halberd, swinging down, smashing his head. The swing was so hard it pried open the soldier's head, killing him instantly. And before the next soldier even noticed his friend getting struck down, Walm immediately charged at him, stabbing him in the neck with his halberd. Beside him, Jose noticed the leaders of the enemy's squad. He thought to himself, "So that's how it is. They're the leading adventurers," he said, pointing at a group of adventurers who were trying to escape from the battle. One of them, the swordsman, shouted, "Hurry up, we're being surrounded by the enemy reinforcements. Are you fine, leader?" he asked, gesturing towards the woman leader, who confirmed that she was fine somehow. Along with them were Emmy, the archer, and 2 other members who were trying to break through the high-circ army surrounding them. Looking at them, Noor asked, "What do you mean by adventurers?" "They're the people who subjugate demons and secure dungeons." Walm ran at them. While doing so, he thought to himself, "I was wondering how those defeated Milliard troops were so good at guerrilla warfare. But if it was all the adventurers doing, then all that remains are the elite knights." Due was the first one to face them off. He swung his weapon down, striking the adventurers with an immense force. But his attack was blocked by one adventurer with a big shield, and Due immediately noticed this. "It seems that you possess the Iron Wall skill," Due said. He then shouted at the shielder. "They said the guild wouldn't interfere in the war, but that's not what I'm seeing right now. Don't you think it's strange?" Trying to hold against Due's attack, the shielder said, "There ought to be free-willed employed soldiers, right?" Over at Walm's place, he suddenly sensed an attack incoming. He quickly managed to put his halberd forward, parrying the attack, while some of his other teammates were not able to react in time and were hit with it. The attack that struck at him was a wind blade, and he noticed it. Shit, a magic user! Swiping away the wind blade and landing himself safely, he scanned for the magic user, only to find her standing not far away. It was the woman the adventurers were trying to protect from earlier, but rather just a young girl. Seeing this caught him off guard. One of the adventurers is just a kid. He hesitated, but his concern for the young girl was quickly covered by another thought, one that was much darker and more ominous. He thought, "But magic users are such a nuisance," and immediately he braced himself with killing intent. "I'll kill you," before charging toward the girl. But of course, her teammates were going to let him do as he pleased. They stood between him and the girl, shouting, "Bring it on!" One of them was a lancer. He thrusted his spear forward at Walm, but Walm didn't faze one bit. He quickly deflected the strike with his halberd, then swung it down, cutting off the lancer's arm and slicing him down from top to bottom, smashing through all of his armor. First one down. Next. He winded up his halberd, ready to dash at the swordsman. His opponent also noticed the incoming attack. He tried to take Walm down with a sideways slash, but Walm quickly slides under the attack, got to behind the swordsman's back, and stabbed him in the back with a halberd's sharp point. Walm then used the halberd that was halfway impaled through the swordsman to pull him to the ground, before pulling his halberd out of him, leaving him lying down, screaming in agony. "No, wait! Help me!" The swordsman tried to call for the girl's help, but she was too helpless to intervene. And just like that, Walm raised his weapon, his face cold and emotionless. "Give up. No one's helping you," before striking down, decapitating the swordsman. Looking at the scene beyond horror, where 2 of her friends just got killed by one single man, the girl asked with her face full of fear and disgust, "Why? Why? How can you kill someone so easily?" Hearing this, Walm slowly walked towards her, and then with a cold expression, his pupil pitch black, he said, "On a battlefield, it's necessary to do such things. I'm sure you've killed your fair share of people. This is rather a pointless conversation to start with," Walm said as he readied his attack again. The girl noticed this. She panicked and started shooting out wind blades at him, but This time, Walm had already got the pattern down. He slid under the attack, thinking to himself, it's the same magic as before, same trajectory. Time to die. He said as he swung his halberd down at her. The girl panicked and held out her shield to block the attack, but of course that did not help at all, because Walm just activated his power skill and blasted through the shield. The attack hit her arm, broke it to shred, and flung her away, hitting the ground. Walm looked at her. He thought to himself, although she was on her back foot, she instantly changed to a defensive stance. She had some good training as well as some war experience. Considering all this, what was with our last conversation? It was so nonsensical. Ah, I see. She isn't used to killing people. The girl lay on the ground, gasping for breath while holding her broken arm, and as Walm walked toward her, he looked at her grim condition, and with a rather emotionless expression, he just said, "Submit already." This triggered the girl with fear. She screamed, swinging randomly with her sword on the other arm, trying to scare Walm away, while trying to step back. But she then tripped over a dead body and lost her balance, and Walm immediately caught this chance and smashed her sword away from her hand. Am I dead? The girl thought to herself. Her last weapon was hid away and she couldn't regain her balance in time. All she could do was wait for the inevitable fate as Walm pointed his weapon at her, about to stab her. But suddenly, Walm noticed a sharp sense of danger. Hey! He panicked and immediately turned around trying to defend the attack, and in an instant, the second swordsman from earlier blitzed at Walm, swinging an upward circular strike, which Walm narrowly managed to block and jumped out of range. Walm clicked his tongue, dissatisfied with the newcomer. In front of him, the long-haired swordsman got separated from earlier, now was blocked between him and the girl. "Leader, stay back!" L. So his name was L. Looking at them, Walm glared and thought, I see, so this girl is the leader of these adventurers. They were then ready for the next round. Walm sighed and said, I hate this. Then he immediately charged at L, swinging his halberd at him, but L quickly jumped up and dodged the attack. His jump was unnaturally quick and high. Walm also picked up on it, realizing that L used body acceleration and that he was a wind magic user. L then immediately rushed Walm down. They both clashed with each other with their attack, but this time it seemed Walm had already gotten a feel for L's skill, as he asked L sarcastically, Are you sure you want me as your opponent? Shut up, you invader! Just then, one of the adventurers, their friend, was killed by the Hyzerk army, distracting L. Huh? Fruk! L called out to the teammate's name. He then grinded his teeth in frustration and swung his blade at Walm, but Walm thought to himself that he already got used to L's body acceleration. They were about to come at each other with the last showdown, but just then, the girl screamed, calling out to her archer teammate, Evade, Emmy! Her scream caught both Walm and L's attention. They looked to the place not far away, where Emmy, the archer adventurer, was standing. The leader screamed out her name, telling her to dodge, but it was too late. Emmy suddenly got hit with a fireball attack. Her body was scorched in the flame of hell, and she let out an agonized scream before the flame fried her vocal cord, burning her to crisp. L, witnessing his teammate getting killed, he screamed her name in frustration and anger, then immediately charged at Walm. You crazy invaders! You monsters don't care for others' tears and blood! Walm blocked the attack. He scoffed at the irony and asked L, Although you guys kill so much, why is it that you think you can die yourselves? Shut up! Shut up! You won't... But just as L was pinning his sword against Walm's halberd, Walm then changed the angle of his weapon, and L's sword slid across the halberd's handle, catching him off guard, and in a swift movement, Walm launched his halberd forward, impaling L in the shoulder and pinning him against the tree with it. With the weapon held himself stuck to the tree, L couldn't move, and he desperately watched as Walm slowly pulled out his secondary sword. You... The leader looked at them, panicked, panting for breath. She couldn't believe her eyes. It can't be. Everyone's gonna die. Walm didn't even bother to glance towards her. He said as he pulled out his sword, You aren't used to killing, are you? I'm so damn jealous. The leader was overwhelmed. Everyone was dead. L was gonna die, and there was nothing she could do about it. But just when she was about to collapse under the immense mental strain, something clicked. Suddenly, the leaves that were falling down were quickly sliced in half mid-air. Walm immediately noticed the danger as he broke into a cold sweat. What the? Suddenly, something flew past him. It was invisible, but he could still feel it grazing through his arm, hitting the tree behind him, and completely blasted it off. What is this? Magic? The strike only grazed through his arm, but it completely messed it up. Hidden shells? Who did this? But it didn't take Walm long to realize the culprit as he glanced toward the adventurer's leader. Ah, it's you. She had managed to get up, and it seemed something had awakened in her. The leader looked at Walm with a vengeful glare. She screamed a battle cry, and around her everything, trees, grounds, rocks of them, got blasted away from all directions. "This isn't a joke," Walm said. He then immediately rolled to cover, narrowly dodging the attack, but some of the other Hyserk soldiers were caught in the attack, and it sliced them into pieces. "It's a ranged area of effect wind attack. Don't gather up," Dewey screamed, warning the squad about the danger. The attack blasted through the forest, dealing massive damage, and after a while, when the dust finally cleared off, Walm stepped out, only to find that she and Elle had already escaped. With the enemies no longer in sight, everyone sat down to take a break. Willard, the squad's magician, said, "That big skill must have taken a toll on her body to pull off. Was it worth it?" "There's no doubt about it. She managed to escape from us after all," Dewey said. José asked them if they should pursue her, but Dewey said that there was no need, since the main forces of the remnants of the Maillard army have already been dealt with. From there on, they would continue towards Maillard's capital. Looking at the wound on his arm, Walm thought to himself, those adventurers were quite skilled. If they were just used to people dying, the ones to die could have been us. Walm said as he recalled her question from earlier, asking him how he could kill people so easily. He then just looked down, saying, "I don't kill because I want to." Over to the adventurers escaping, the leader, running and crying, asked, "What was that man's problem?" She then recalled the kind of eyes Walm had when he told her to submit. "You monster!" And with that, their pursuit came to an end, but the war continued. One day, while their squad were camping, resting between fights, the squad's magician, Willard, called out to Walm. "Walm, grab my hand." "Huh?" Walm was confused. He asked again, "Hold your hand?" To which Willard confirmed, "Yeah." He then explained the reason. "You said you had an interest in magic yesterday, right? We're on break right now, so this is the perfect time. I'll teach you." Hearing this, Walm's eyes lit up. "Oh, Willard, yeah, I want to learn." He then extended his hand to grab Willard's. Looking at them, Noor asked Yosei, "What are those two doing?" Yosei replied, "Willard's transferring magical energy to Walm so he could teach him how to use it." "So like even Walm will be able to use magic?" "Yeah, after they're done, we'll find out if he has the aptitude for it or not. He might be able to use fireballs and water spears, just like Willard." Yosei then joked, "Holding hands is pretty hot." Walm heard this and glared at him, to which Yosei just laughed it off. "It's just a joke, yo." Willard noticed this and told Walm to concentrate, and he started transferring mana to Walm. "Feels cold," Walm said, to which Willard responded, "That's right, this is the prerequisite for the use of elemental magic. Keep your consciousness intact." After the transfer, Willard let go of Walm's hand. He then asked, "Now concentrate on the palms of your hands. Now think of a river or an ocean. Both are fine. Just visualize how water flows." Hearing this, Walm started imagining. Water. Rain. In his head, a scene of raindrops falling down to the water surface. And in no time, Walm felt something wet in his hand. He opened his eyes to see that a handful of water was flowing out of his palm. "Oh, hey Willard, this is magic, right?" But to his surprise, Willard just clicked his tongue in disappointment. "That's no good." "Huh?" "Although it's usable, the amount is barely suitable," Willard said. He then continued, "But just like I did, let's have you experience the hardship of a human well."
Huh? Walm was confused, but he got to find out what Willard meant real quick as Dewey noticed them and shouted, "Oh, we have 2 human wells now. It's all you can drink, all you can wash." Turned out they planned to make him create water for them, and before Walm could even grasp the situation, Willard hit him with another problem. From now on, please try not to sweat as much as possible. Save your magical power, he said, pointing at his cleanly shaved head. If you don't, you might excrete water until you get all withered up. Hearing this, Walm was shocked and scared. So far, the cons had already outweighed the pros. Then Willard continued. You see, compared to the explosive magic you use for your skill, water-based magic requires way less mana. Huh? You mean, have I been using magic the entire time? Of course. Both body reinforcement magic and skills require magical power. Roughly speaking, when you use magical power for elemental magic like fireball and water spear, it's classified as magic. And when you use techniques like power attack and iron wall, you use magical power to strengthen your body or weapon. These are called skills. Willard then sighed, asking him if he didn't know that, to which Walm answered that since he was raised on a farm under military rule, he was illiterate. Okay, then next, Willard continued, let's see your aptitude for fire elemental magic. Fire, is it? Walm thought. He then tried closing his eyes and imagining a fire. Willard was looking at him, but for a moment he was distracted by two Hyzerk soldiers playing with each other down the river. Their laughter was loud and distracting that Willard looked annoyed at them. But suddenly, he felt a dangerous sensation coming from Walm and immediately jumped back. At the same time, Walm opened his eyes to see a giant pillar of flame bursting out of his hands. The flame was so potent, it shot up the sky, burning brightly that everyone noticed it. Willard, what should I do? Ah, hot! Flames that were shot up in the sky then started falling down on everyone, creating a rain of fire. What kind of fire attack is this? Wrong! It was Walm! Shit! He's trying to burn the whole camp with his magic! Some of the flames even caught Burrito's signature hair, burning them. He crouched down, screaming in agony, while Noor tried to help him, asking Walm for forgiveness. Walm, with flames still bursting out of his hands, tried to clarify that it wasn't his intention, and turned to Willard, asking him what to do. Just then, Willard walked to him. He shot out a ball of water, and before Walm could even ask what was his intention, Willard just dropped it on Walm. The water ball fell on Walm. It covered him before bursting, sending him flying. Walm flew over the distance. He then landed in the river nearby. Noor looked at him, worried if he was okay, but it seemed he was fine. As he sit up, trying to wipe the wet hair out of his eyes, he said, "This isn't a joke, Willard." Willard then walked up to him. He reached out his hand to Walm, then pulled Walm out of the river. Looking at Walm, he smiled. "So, it seems you do have an aptitude for fire magic. Let's continue." To which Walm squeaked in fear. The training then continued. Over the distance, Dewey noticed someone coming. It was a person coming to send him a message from the Allied troops. Hopping down from his horse, that person walked up to Dewey and said, "It's an order from Captain Ligurian. It's specifically for you, Commander Dewey." "Really?" Dewey answered. "I want to know what this message is about." But he was quickly met with a grim expression from the message sender, saying that they're crazy. Hearing this, Dewey's face hardened. He asked, "Is that the strategy that they've decided upon?" "Yeah, that's why the Dewey squad's been ordered to hastily merge with the main battalion. The war will take place in the plains of Rarif. With this, the Hyzerk will certainly face defeat." The scene transitioned to a group discussing the strategy for the upcoming battle. Both the Maillard and Farius strongholds are on these two hills. Furthermore, by observing the Hyzerk army position, it's apparent that the majority of their army will head toward the army of Maillard first, with a small number of people holding us down. So it's as we predicted? Yes, Lord Farius. Sitting in front of them was the Lord of the Farius. Together with the Maillard, they were preparing for a battle against the Hyzerk. Lord Farius then got up. As he was walking out of the tent, he said, "Those Hyzerk are crazy. They want to restrain our 6,000-man army. Let's create a few skeletons out of those Hyzerk troops." He walked out of the tent to look at his powerful army, ready for the upcoming fight. "There aren't any holes in their positioning, right?" "Yes, sir."
Maillard will be attacked by Jeff's cavalry battalion. The High Cirque are quite sharp. The advancement will be carried by the strongest troops they have, but they're not our enemy." Standing in front of the army, he strongly declared, "Emerge victorious for our king!" Internally, he mumbled, "I'll make both the Maillard and the High Cirque die here today. Everything belongs to the Farius." Just then, he noticed a different army heading his way from afar. So, the High Cirque troops have started moving. This marks the beginning. Standing against the allied forces of Maillard and Farius, a combined total of 25,000 soldiers, was the High Cirque army with just about 15,000. They had 10,000 less soldiers than their enemy. Among them, there was a Douai squad. Looking at the army, Douai said, "So, it's started." José smiled and asked, "Why do you think the Maillard looks so fierce right now?" "I think it's because they're in the Fariest homeland. It's obvious they called us here to get rid of us." Just then, Noor noticed something. She asked, "Why are we on standby when the battle is already started?" And they were met with a grim expression from Douai. He was about to explain to them what the real plan was. It took them a lot of time to prepare this deployment plan, but I'll just explain it to you briefly. Firstly, the High Cirque army will aim for the Maillard stronghold. While that goes on, the final deciding factor will also occur. The Ligurian battalion, which includes the Douai squad, will converge and blitz with Jeff's cavalry battalion. I'm dying, bro. They want them to run along, trying to keep up with fucking horses. Hearing this, Walm was shocked, along with José. He asked, "The infantry and cavalry will be running together? That's too reckless." "And why us?" To which Douai answered, "It seems to be because the Ligurian battalion has a lot of experience. This is worrisome." Looking at them, Barrio was confused. As a rookie, he didn't understand the weight of the situation. He asked, "Is the situation that bad?" "It's terrible," Douai answered. "It means we humans will have to run with horses. Even if your heart is about to burst, even if your lungs and legs tremble from reaching their limit, you cannot stop, because if you do, you'll be crushed by the following soldiers. If you stop, you die. You have to kill the enemies in front while running." Hearing this, Walm thought to himself, "I feel nauseous just listening to that." Douai then complained, "Furthermore, why are our squad on the front lines? Everything is because you go on a rampage with your power move, Mr. Walm. It seems that becoming too competent is also not good." Walm's face was bleak. He asked if anyone got stomach medicine. But then he questioned why he was the only one to blame. "Me? Doesn't Commander Douai lose control more often than me?" Hearing this, Douai was startled. He then stayed quiet and avoided eye contact, so it seemed he was trying to put all the blame on Walm. Looking at them, Zhao said, "We have not one, but two power move users. On top of that, we have Willard's magic as well. It can't be helped." Douai understood this. He crouched down, holding his head, complaining, "The Ligurian battalion commander did hit me with a 'I'm expecting a lot from you.' I did think it was weird." Walm just looked at him in speechless. He then noticed the sounds from afar. It was the foot soldiers already engaging in battle. He then looked at the cavalry battalion, who were still standing still, waiting for order. Walm thought to himself, "Can we run alongside cavalry? Till the end? Without dying?" After a while, Douai said, "Strange. The attack orders still haven't arrived yet. Did something happen to the vanguard? The plan might not be going well." Hearing this, Walm felt more and more restless. "But," Douai continued, "I don't think Commander Berger would misread the situation." Just then, they noticed the sounds from afar. It was the main army of Farius. They were attacking Kilheiserk foot soldiers in their way. Everyone was getting more and more worried. Burrito asked what they should do, and Noor questioned where the attack orders were. And just as the Farius army was attacking, the Maillard's reserve army was also heading toward them. Everyone panicked, saying if they didn't do anything, they would be decimated. Just then, the Hyzert cavalry leader shouted, "Attack! Our target is the Farius stronghold." This shocked everyone. Huh? That wasn't the plan. What's going on? Our target was Myard. Are you listening? But before the infantry soldiers could even understand why the sudden change in target, the cavalry had already taken off. "Get ready! Run! Run!" Everyone had no other choice but to start rushing along head first with the cavalry. Looking at them, Walm couldn't do anything but commit. He closed his eyes, swearing to himself, "Shit," before focusing up and began joining the attack.